My name is Joe Martin. My traditional name from our tribe, or my Indian name, is Nuu-chah-nulth First Nations. It's a traditional name from our house. I became a canoe carver. I started learning to carve canoes many, many years ago when I was very young with my father. He didn't leave me a choice or not to go. Get ready, we're going. So anyhow, I had no choice to go. So finally started going with him, and it didn't really dawn on me until many years later that that was something I really loved to do. And it was actually got started seriously doing this during the Mears Island blockades in 1984. And since then I have carved, oh gosh, I don't know, more than 60 canoes. And the dugout canoes here that we make, they're made out of Western Red Cedar. And I feel that it's important to steam canoes that are over 20 feet, or what is that, about 7.5 meters or so, longer than that, because what happens if they're too straight on the bottom, then it's very hard to steer them. They go too straight. It's very difficult to make them turn. So what must happen is that the bottom must have a curve like that. And then what happens also when you make the bottom curved, it makes the sides wide. And it's like you set the canoe up so it has to be level this way, and it also has to be level that way. So it has to be sitting, and the best place to do it is on a beach like that. Because when you look at it, the beach is already level. And so the only way you must level it is this way. You set it up that way, put two blocks, and they must sit up on the blocks like there. It cannot be right on the ends. It has to be about there. And so what you do also with that, on a large canoe about, say 10 meters, you put about this much water in the bottom of the canoe. And this thing should sit level. Then what you must do is you have about 150 rocks about this big, and those rocks you must put them in a fire, build a fire on them and make them red hot. And after they're red hot, then you pull them out of the fire, you take them and you put them inside of the canoe, and it must go on top of where the supports go here, on the inside and here, because it has to go there because that's all the weight. And then also underneath in the sand, you must dig a hole underneath the canoe in the sand, because all the rocks that break, you take those ones and you put them in there. And then, then you cover the whole thing. In the former days, our people would cover it with a cedar bark mats. But today we use a tarp, a plastic tarp. You go to the hardware store and buy it, and you cover the whole thing and you seal it all in, and then you leave it for about 45 minutes. And occasionally you can lift up the tarp and splash water on the rocks that are underneath it, and that gets very hot. It gets hot enough that it will melt the tarp sometimes. And you must leave this for about 45 minutes if it's hot enough. And it's important that there's no wind, because the wind will blow and it will cool it off really quickly. And so once it's hot enough, all you do is you lift on the stern and the bow right at the very tips. You lift it. And what happens is it opens like that. And you only lift it so much, because if you go too far, it can crack. So what is important to do is go just a bit farther than what you really want, because what you have to do is you have to take all the rocks and all the water out, and then you let it cool off. And then what you got to do is you got to sit it on a couple of blocks for about 2 days, and what will happen is it will relax and it will come back. That way it will release the stress in it. Because if you leave it at its widest that you made it, and you put the seats in, and you go out on the ocean, and it's holding, and it's straining on itself, it can crack. So it's important that it comes back and relaxes a little bit. Sometimes it loses as many as 4 inches, which is about that much or so. It comes back in that much, which is okay. That's all right. Just let it be that way. And that kind of a thing was important, because it will not have the stress on it anymore. So that's something that our people on the coast did for a long, long time. I have no idea how long ago they started doing that, but learned how to steam wood and bent wood and those huge canoes like that. And that's a job that I did do with those fellows from Germany. That was really fun. And yeah, that's how the dugout canoes were made. I think you will probably have a ride in one of them tomorrow.